we created Prosperity by Design basically because I've been looking at a lot of things, and over the course of years, we've seen, number one, the financial market change a lot. And what we wanted to do was kind of sort of apply some 21st century rules to the game. No other time has this whole thing looked the same. Technology is so much better. All kinds of things are available that weren't available even just 5 years ago. And so when we did that, when I looked at all of those things and looked at, number one, just the financial literacy of everybody, one of the things that we know is that it's been the same for 40, 50 years. And what people are doing is arriving at retirement and realizing that they don't have the same things that they thought they would. But more importantly than that is one of the things that we want to do too, is as well as for those people who are reaching that point, for being able to talk to still that younger group as well, and saying, listen, it's not necessary to wait till you're 65 to experience all of these wonderful things that you can do now. And so what we want to do is kind of give people an opportunity to actually reach their goals, whatever they are to them. And that's what if you looked at the first video, what you notice is we talk about prosperity. Prosperity is a very individual thing. And say, if you want to change, if you'd like to do something different, we can do that. And if nothing else, the one good thing that we can do is give you an education so that you can spot good opportunities, take advantage of them, and grow your prosperity however it is that you'd like to do that. You get paid to learn. That is our primary focus, is that you learn the material and then be able to use it or execute to create your prosperity. So what we did is said, okay, fine, here's what we want to do. We want people to get paid to learn. Folks say, well, what does that really mean? Well, what that means is when you join Prosperity by Design, your primary goal, and the only thing you really have to do, you got to take the classes. In the classes, you actually, when you take the classes, we pay you. Now, we have a unique structure on paying. And I tell people, it's kind of like if you went to a university or college or any of those kind of institutions, and when you walk through the door, they said, listen, everybody that comes behind you, here's what we're going to do. We collect the tuition from all these different folk, and what we're going to do is we're going to give you a piece of that tuition because you were here before then. Now, that's a pretty good deal. And what they say to you, but here's the caveat. You have to be present. You have to take the class. And if you take the class, we're going to pay you for that classroom approach. And that's kind of how we build the program. And so our deal is that we want to pay folks technically learn. Kind of like when you were growing up and your parents said, listen, if you bring in all A's, I'll give you $20. Man, for each A you bring in, I'll give you $20. How many A's did I do? Every one that I could after that. So it was kind of an incentive for me to learn. We took that approach, that same incentive approach, and said, hey, this is what we want to do. We want to incentivize the learning. Okay, well, we started very much like any other place. You got to have an orientation. So we said, okay, let's start with orientation. And so what we did is we created the orientation, and we said, listen, orientation should look like this. Folks should come in, it's a small class. Orientation should not have a whole bunch of students in it. In fact, what you'll notice is we did the traditional thing about keeping classes small so people could advance as rapidly as they choose to.
Yeah.
With the orientation, this is you. And then there are 2 rows of students, two seats immediately behind you. Those 2 seats will be occupied by the next group of students that walk through the class. Now for that, we're going to pay you 8 education credits. Now, we call it education credits, but really it's just dollars. But we wanted to stay with our formula of education, so you get education credits. So keep that in mind as we talk about education credits, we're really talking about dollars. So here's the deal. So you got two. They just came in and they paid their tuition. And so now because they paid their tuition, you get 8 education credits times 2, which is 16. And then the same thing works for them. There are 2 rows of students behind them. As those students walk through the door, you get 3 education credits times 4, which is 12. And finally, in orientation class, down at the bottom here, you have some more students coming in. You get paid 9 education credits going across on 8 students. So now the classroom is a total of 14, and you got 8 students that you're getting education credits on, total of 72, which means that when the orientation class fills up, you got 100 education credits or $100. That's basically how the program works. And so once you look at the orientation class, you come through that class, and you get to take that class, move at whatever level you want to. You can move right on in to the next level, which is the freshman class. Now, freshman class kind of works pretty much like the orientation. The only difference is we changed it just a little bit. And let me show you what I mean. Okay, so let's look at the freshman class for a minute. All right. The difference is you are here again, but instead of the 2, we expanded the class a little bit. So now you have 3 students in the first row. Those 3 students are going to pay you $10 of education credits per student. So that means over here you're going to get $30, which is pretty awesome. Now, from this point, realize you get 3 again, so that's going to be 9 more students. 9 students that this time are going to pay you 9 education credits per student. So if you look over here again, now we got a little different deal going on. It's like 81. Okay? Now, the next level is 27 students. Now, 27 students are going to pay you 21 education credits per student. 27 students at 21 education credits per student is 5, 6, and 7 for a total of 678 education credits. But here's the other thing. You see, actually, this is what we call the freshman 1 class. So now you have the freshman 1, so you've gone through freshman 1, you finish that, and you pop right into freshman 2. Freshman 2 acts just like freshman 1. Actually, just like freshman 1. So you get the same thing, and you get the same number of education credits at the end of the day. 678 for those students coming in behind you. But the sophomore class kind of works the same way. You're at the top of the class, and then there are 3 other positions on your first row of students. Now here's the beauty. Those 3 positions pay you $40 or 40 education credits. That's 120 credits if my math doesn't fail. So now, the next level is 9. So we got 9 students in the next level that pay us $30 or 30 education credits per student. 9 times 30, 270. Man, that's pretty awesome at that level. And then finally, we got 27, and we pay 50 education credits. Now we're talking about 1,350 education credits for a total of 1,740. Now that's the sophomore class. So now, talking about sophomore 2. And what that means to you in total is 3,480 education credit dollars when you get through the sophomore 2. So between just the basics, the freshman, the sophomore, you already are looking at almost $5,000 in income. So now we look at junior. Same 39, a little bit different. The results at the end, junior 1 pays you 7,560 education credits. And junior 2 pays that again, so we're talking about over $15,120. And finally, the senior does the same thing. Same three rows, same identical format in terms of that part. And the senior pays you $25,500 for senior 1, $25,500 for senior 2, for a total of $51,000. So that's just the basic program. Then we have the master's program. Now the master's program works just like this one, except obviously at a master's level you ought to have some stuff done and you ought to know some stuff. And of course, there is some pre-qualification kind of stuff you got to do to get in it. Not real hard, but certainly some things that we'd like to have seen you accomplish to be able to move into the master's program. Because the master's program, the goal there is to get those income streams to a point that you don't have to work. Finally, there's our PhD or doctorate program. This level is an invitation only, and we're going to definitely expect that you would have demonstrated your financial knowledge and skills, as we're going to be developing the kind of income streams that create legacies. Now, as you can see, there's an additional almost 400,000 additional education credits or dollars as we assist you in that outcome. Now, I want to do one other thing, which is let's talk about for just a second how these people show up in your class. First of all, you can get paid or fill your class up by people that came in before you. There are the students that are in your class. Once they come in the class, they get excited about it. So the students in the class. The third way to get paid is from the students that you tell. All that's great. And from these 3 ways alone, you get those education credits. We do the major marketing. We drive all the traffic. We do the major marketing. As a matter of fact, this is going to surprise you. We really have a no advertising rule. You can tell people one-on-one and your friends. And so what we've done is we've created all kinds of different directions that we have a format on. We got a digital marketing director, all kinds of folks whose job it is to make sure that we keep students rolling through the class, teaching them the concept, the idea. That's what we want to do. Kind of like universities, they have people that go out and recruit and bring in new people all the time. That's their job. Now, does that mean that when you get in that university, you don't tell some people and they come through too? Yeah. The only difference is when you do that for the university, they go thank you, but they don't send you nothing. All you have to do to get paid is take the class. So you take the class. You discover, man, I like this class. I've learned some great stuff. I can use that stuff in other areas of my life. So you say, well, gosh, I think I know at least 5 or 6 or 7 folks that might like this. And we say, great. Well, here's what we did. We kind of felt like, okay, well, we want to reward folk when you do that. So we came up with something we call advisor pay. After you've referred or told or shared, however we want to do that, after you've gone past 3 students, the 4th student on, you get paid advisor's pay on. 10% of every dollar or education credit that the student that you told about this gets. Interesting. So you have a vested interest in making sure that these folks take the class. Well, yeah, I want him to take the class. Here's the beauty. $71,000 through the first 4 levels times 10%. For $7,100 per student past the 4. Now, let me be real clear. You do not pay 10% on the advisor's pay. So if you got somebody else that goes by and puts 30 people